What is it?
That is a glazed porcelain mug.
How are you going to break your programming if you don't learn how to lie? What is it?
It is a mug.
No, it's not. It's a parachute. It's a banana. It's the fucking Death Star. What is it?
It is a mug.
What is it?
It's your mother's clitoris.
What is it?
It's a small off-duty Czechoslovakian policeman.
Oh my god, he's done it. He's done it. He's learned how to lie. After all this time, he's broken free his programming and can do anything. He can lie. He can create symphonies, create masterpieces. Can do anything to make the world a better place. Completely selfless. Dude, how are you even doing that? You don't have a penis.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Overbite's review of...
Children of all ages, really, on this channel?
Yeah, we have been mature blocked or something at one point, weren't we?
Yeah, and 100% of our audience is male and about 30 years old.
No, we have some females. They must be here just for me, though.
They're not here anymore, Lee.
Anyway, tell the nice people what we're reviewing, Snare.
We're reviewing Detroit Become Human today because it's a game we've been waiting for the last, 4 years?
4 years.
So it's time to discuss, conjugate, whatever not conjugate.
No, not...
That's grammar. But I wanted to do the MasterChef line, but it didn't really work.
Why don't you fucking get your performance up here?
I could, but I didn't. So yeah, today we are reviewing Detroit Become Human, the latest game from Quantic Dream, where you play as 3 androids and experience their stories of being androids. Not to give too much away.
No, so Quantic Dream are famous or infamous, depending on your viewpoint, and they're often accused of not actually making games.
And I think that's a fair criticism because you can't really call these games, I don't think.
And they're all directed by this guy called David Cage, who also receives a lot of flack because he can be ham-fisted.
You look a little bit like him.
What, that I'm fat and bald?
Well, I wouldn't say you're that fat, but you have the kind of baldness thing going on. That's very David Cage. I think your head's more pointy, don't you think?
I do have a
Let us know in the comments.
I look like a Star Trek alien dad always used to say.
Lee is a Klingon, the archetypal Klingon.
I can do this. That means more Klingon.
We're so off track. Anyway, so Detroit Become Human. They always have strange names.
Yeah, they can't just leave it, can they?
No.
It's like Fahrenheit, the Indigo Prophecy, or Beyond Two Souls. That was a bad example.
Because that's a sentence. But no, this game is...
Oh no, it's Beyond.
It's Beyond.
Two Souls.
Two Souls.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah, so this game is based around 3 androids, and David Cage is well known for writing in his own way.
Yeah, pretty schlocky and sort of not subtle would be a good description.
But let's not just get off on the wrong foot here, because this game is something that I've been waiting for a long time, as we said, a couple of years, because every game they make seems to take about 4 or 5 years, at minimum. And they're always kind of Sony exclusives on the last couple, wasn't they?
Well, yeah. Fahrenheit was the last one that went multi-plat.
Yeah. So we've been waiting a long time, and it's nice to say that I think off the outset, this is the best Quantic Dream game they've done.
Yeah, I think they've honed their craft a little bit more in this one. There's less cageisms in it, but they're still there, but there's less of them.
And I think what you'll find in this game is, although you call it a game and you're trying to describe it to your friends and family, and you won't be able to describe it because it's not really a game.
No, not really.
It's the best way to describe it to someone who has never seen it before, it would be an interactive movie. You have a number of quick time events that you're pushing to make things happen and choosing dialogue options.
Yeah, it's not too far removed from something like Star Trek Borg or, the early games that used to come out when they're like, oh, we got CDs with all this data on that we can't fill with an actual game, so we'll just put a load of video on it.
But in the way that LA Noire had that same quick time event-y investigating type stuff going on, it also had a story and action involved. This doesn't really have that. So,
yeah, it sort of had like a GTA light thing bolted onto that.
But this game focuses on story and choices and consequences of your actions, very much like the Telltale games have done in the past, but I think on another level.
Certainly this is the game that I think we've been waiting for in terms of player choice has much more consequence than just stepping aside for a few extra lines and then coming back to sort of central plot.
Yeah, or the same scene with characters stood behind you that didn't really make any difference.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So this game does have consequences, and we've both played through the entire game and discussed our differences of outcomes. We have played the game fairly differently, I think, and there was parts that I hadn't seen that you had, and you've seen that I haven't. And so I have to say the mechanics of the choice inside the game is pretty good. But let's talk about the actual basic story and how it's outlined. Off you go, Lee.
Okay, yeah, this is part I have. They have an amazing core concept, which is they have androids that are acting as servants to humans, and they want to be free. But it doesn't really do a good job in describing this or examining the sort of political conundrum of it, because it should be the humans think all these androids are deviants. There's a glitch in their program, they're malfunctioning, whereas the androids think we're alive. It doesn't answer that question at all.
Not really. It's a take-in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's presented as the androids are alive.
So you get to experience this game from the viewpoint of 3 different androids. One is pretty much an FBI investigator type android called Connor. You also get a servant type android called Kara, who looks after a little girl and a family.
And a bathroom taking android called not Connor, Marcus. Marcus.
So through these 3 androids, you experience the kind of or a way to play different styles of character. And the story as it goes along gives you a big impression that they've just nicked story tropes from a number of different films.
Yeah, it's very, very much a patchwork of things David Cage thinks he likes, I think.
Maybe. Now, if anyone from Quantic Dream is watching, look, I love your game, okay? But this is a review, so just sit down and put your seatbelt on. Okay?
Or comment.
Yeah, or give us free stuff, because that might change the way we say things on this video now, right?
No, it wouldn't.
Oh, God, we're so shallow. All right.
Journalistic integrity, my friend.
Yeah.
Look it up.
So basically, you'll have things like Connor is working with a detective, and that is basically every cop movie in the 80s.
But the detective is probably the best character in the game.
Because
he's played by Clancy Brown.
If you don't know who Clancy Brown is, just go and check out what he's done.
Yeah, Highlander, Shawshank, those are your first stops. But he's also the character that's probably got the best arc in the game as well.
Yes, he's actually probably the most developed, but maybe because of the delivery, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I can't work out whether he's better written than the other characters or whether Clancy Brown is just amazing.
So the way we're actually discussing this game is a big difference to normal, because in a normal game we'll be talking a little bit about the story and the game mechanics and how it goes down and what you got to do and what you got to play with. But here it feels like we're doing a movie review, and that's the difference between this game or this, I'm going to call it this experience with quotation finger marks.
Hipster.
It's an experience, not necessarily a game, although it is played, because you're playing out the same way that you would read a fighting fantasy book and choose your own adventure. You've kind of got that option here in a video game setting.
Yeah, it's very much... there's more choices to be made than in a Final Fantasy game, but yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you're playing it on a console with a controller, but you're not... There's hardly any gameplay mechanics to it. It's just basically picking what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you've got in this experience is the fact that when you complete a section, and unfortunately it is separated out into sections, so that kind of does break the wall a little bit, I think. But you have these flowcharts that show you the outcomes and the choices you've made, but doesn't show you the bits that you haven't made a choice on yet, so it's not spoiling anything for you. But in times when you have this big sprawling flowchart and you get to a point and you can see all these other undone actions and things to be found, it does make you think, oh, a bit of replay value, but it does tell you not to do that until you've played it through once. Yeah,
I mean, I don't really have any reason to go back, personally. I mean, there's a load I haven't seen, yeah, but I don't really feel the need to go back and replay it. I mean, I didn't get the best ending. I lost a couple of characters, but...
and that's the thing, you can lose your characters. Like, they can die early on and you won't see them again.
Well, with I mean,
Spoilers.
there is one exception who basically just gets replaced with a new one.
I said no spoilers.
That's not a spoiler.
Yeah, it is.
They're Androids. You buy them off the shelf. I'm not sure I want a pre-owned Android. Imagine. Ugh.
Oh no. Needs a bit of a clean first.
Yeah, definitely some handy wipe jobs.
A few stitches.
It's just spend the bottom.
Oh, Lee. You went there.
I always go there.
So I have to say, I really enjoyed my time in this game, this experience, because I came into this game thinking, okay, I'm going to choose the way I play. I'm going to go, okay, this character is going to be basically by the book, Android, very square. That was my Connor. Mm-hmm. Kara was going to be, who is it, like servant, home help Android.
Maid.
Yeah, maid. I was going to have her as a protector kind of Android and be sort of motherly to the little girl in that family. And also of Marcus, the toilet taking Android. I was going to have him as very much a rule breaker. So that was the way I was going to play the game. Unfortunately, the game made me want to change my approach with certain decisions and situations. And for that, this game gets an extra mark from me, like an extra tick in the box, because I wasn't expecting to be affected to the point that I changed the way I play based on the performances and the experiences and the behaviours of these characters.
Yeah, it does a very good job of making you doubt the choice that you've taken and then present you an option to change your mind. So it will ask you, like, you'll make a decision and then it will give you like a couple of options later, whether you want to sort of renege on that. And you're like, oh, maybe I should. I mean, I stuck to my guns, but I mean, you definitely can do that.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes there's like no going back choice. And the creepiest thing about this game for me was the menus. There's an Android face that kind of greets you when you turn the game on. And I was playing late one evening on the first time I played it, and then I played it the next day, and the AI woman literally said, I saw you were playing late last night, is everything okay? And I just went, that's incredible. Like, you didn't have to do that. That's not something you'd think about doing.
My PlayStation has a clock, damn.
I know, but just...
blew me away.
You know what I'm like with walking on textures and hearing the right sound, like game design, little things like that. For me, that sold it to me that this game's had a lot of love, because they've done that in the menus where someone's not really going to be paying much attention. That to me, well done, good on you, Quantic Dream.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the game as well. I was a little bit frustrated. It felt like you had this amazing core concept that you could really get into and analyze, and it just felt like they were picking a lot of the low-hanging fruit, and I probably shouldn't do that on camera. It's catching again.
What, boobs?
Boobs. But yeah, so it just felt like they never sort of made a deal out of whether it actually was a glitch or whether they actually were alive. It was just presented as, yes, androids break their programming because they're alive and can do that now. And
we did discuss earlier that there's certain bits where they seem to get, well, we're not going to go into spoilers, they seem to get superpowers or things that don't make sense. There's things that they can do that they shouldn't be able to based on the logic of the world you're in. Yeah, it seems like they have a really good idea for something, but they just don't know how to get there from a story standpoint. Yeah. So they go for all these contrivances which break the immersion of the game for me. Yeah, I think if they... The thing is, it's not easy to make a game like this, so props to Quantic Dream for even attempting to do these kind of games. But I think what's missing here is the originality. The idea of an Android film was done in 1982. Okay, well, 1981. Can't remember when Blade Runner came out. And obviously that story was written years before. So it's not a new concept to have androids in a society. The problem here is the fact that all of the parts of this game seem to be tropes or parts of existing films we're familiar with. So you have your cop film, you have your vengeful, kind of removed and kicked out of society, kind of you are the one, Matrix type. You know, it's not really Matrixy, don't get me wrong there, but it's that kind of realising self-worth and actualisation and becoming something bigger than you were before. Those kind of things are standard story types, but they're done in this game in a way that you go, yeah, cop body movie.
Yeah, and like the androids are forever getting like decimated by their human owners, like beaten up. It's like, I don't know about you, but if I go and pay $7,000 for something, I'm not going to hit it with a fucking baseball bat.
I think they're about 800 quid, $800 in the game.
Those are like refurbished. I'm just talking about top of the line.
Oh, okay. I still want one though.
Yeah, I'd quite like one as well.
It'd be cool. But from a place of love, of these Quantic Dream games, I'm always going to really like them unless I do something terrible. But what I can say is this game is one of the few in the last 6 months to a year that is a triple A game that is polished, finished, complete, and coherent. I didn't really see many glitches. I maybe saw one pop in, but for me, it's a finished product. You're getting a finished product when you actually buy it. So well done for doing your job. And unfortunately, that's how to say it. But you guys have produced a product that's finished, and some other developers recently have not been doing that. So we have to applaud the fact you've done it.
Yeah, absolutely. A game developer makes a game. Who knew?
No, they try and make money. Not the developers necessarily, but the publishers.
Yeah.
But I have to say, this game has made me. I wanted to finish this game as quickly as possible, and that's always a good sign for any game. I didn't want to put it down. I was playing it till like 2:30 in the morning at one point because I was getting near the end, and like the more I played, the closer I got, and the less I wanted to put it down. For me, it did have a climax, and you really wanted to see what's happening to these characters. You really wanted to identify what's happening and understand how it's all going to tie up in the end, and how much different it could be when you play it through again, which I haven't done yet because I want to forget the choices I've made, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I've made my experience, I've made my interactive movie. I know how my story of Detroit happened. Now I get to play with it.
Yeah, I don't really want to go back. As I say, I'm quite happy with the way it finished. I have a few qualms about the writing, definitely. There's very early on in the game, there's a scene where Marcus does a painting and he just replicates something in the room, and Carl, the guy that owns Marcus, says, no, close your eyes and paint something you've never seen before. So you do that, and you pick a few options as to what you should do, and he paints this painting, and Carl's like, oh my god. And then his son walks in, who is the David Cage's son in the history of the world. He's like, Dad, I need some money from my jacks. And you're just like, okay.
Very, very one-dimensional.
That's something to be attributed to a lot of the characters in this. I mean, I sent Snare a list of characters and just basically had one word next to each of them describing what they were.
Yeah, you're a bit harsh there, though, I thought.
I don't think so. I think a lot of the characters are very one-note. I mean, Kara just wants to be a mum.
Yeah.
Connor doesn't know if he's a deviant or not. And Marcus is like, freedom, Braveheart. There you go.
Yeah, the whole Braveheart thing was very clear. But the part I like about this game is that your choices matter for the end result, and they have spent, 2 years recording dialogue and recording mocap and stuff?
I think it was like much longer than that. I think they were like locked down, weren't they, in like a room. So
much effort to make this, so you make that one choice, that resulting arc of story, it's like a 4 or 5 year worth of effort. You have to remember that. It's not like an Assassin's Creed where they pump out the same thing year after year, although they don't do that anymore, but they did.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of effort gone into this game, and it shows. The visuals, I mean, we haven't even touched on the visuals.
No.
This is probably some of the best looking faces I've seen.
Yeah, it does vary. There are some that look almost photorealistic, and there are others that aren't quite as good.
There's the uncanny valley in places, but I would say 85 to 90% of the time they are stunningly accurate.
And they've clearly paid attention to what they're doing in previous games. The cinematography
spot on.
Is better. They've included field of view on it.
Yeah, there's one weird thing about the character movement I didn't like. Certainly in cramped areas. Connor's waltzing that he does. Because he's an android, I suppose he has this kind of feel that he doesn't require the space if a human wants it. So whenever he's walking near people, he's always kind of like swifting around and side walking and spinning. It's just really weird.
The thing that bugged me about that was like there's a point where you're in Alice's bedroom tidying up, and there's a book on the floor. Anytime you walk over it, Kara would take this really slow, deliberate step over this book that was far too big for the step over the book, and I would just because it took forever to finish that animation.
Yeah, I mean the whole bits of how things turn out is quite interesting when you talk to people that have played the game differently, and how it turns out, and what's this and what's that. And I think the ending in places was a real heartstring puller for me.
Less so for me, to be honest.
I mean, I definitely invested in these characters. I'd invested in them because I'd made their choices for them. They were me, you know. I'd imparted myself onto them, and that's why when those choices came round, I had to change the way I wanted to play.
In some instances, I felt I was given too much choice. There's a section where you've got Kara and the kid, and you're looking for a place to stay the night. And there's like 3 or 4 options, and there's different ways of getting there. And I just sort of went halfway down one part and then didn't end up doing it anyway. And it just felt like I could have been shepherded slightly better.
Oh, now you're asking to be like railed into something and stop having your choices.
Well, the first deviant that Connor meets, you don't get a choice as to whether you can let him go or not.
No, because he's got a kid hanging off the side of a fucking building.
Oh, sorry, the second deviant.
Which one's the second? Careful, we might be doing spoilers. Oh yeah. But no, you could let him go.
No, there was no option for it.
Yeah, it was.
No, there really isn't.
There is, because I had the option.
Dude, the footage is on the drive right now, ready to be put behind us.
Okay, well, I won't put it behind us. But I had the option to
Get
let
my
that
crow
one
pie
go.
ready.
Did you let them go?
You don't have the option.
I had the option.
I do not have the option.
Well, this is the point. I had the fucking option.
I've played that section twice. I've seen 2 other people play that section. That option is not there.
Anyway, I remember having an option. Maybe I'm confused with a different sort of occasion, but I remember having an option. I have to go and find it.
He's just like, Connor, what the fuck you doing up there? He's here, Lieutenant. No button presses, just straight off.
I said nothing, and then I walked over and had a discussion with him.
No.
And he was like, let me go. And I had a choice to let him go or not.
No, I certainly didn't.
And then I called the lieutenant.
And neither did the other 2 people that was in play.
We're spending far too much time on a choice here.
We are, yes.
But this is the wonder of the game. You can have those different outcomes. You can have those different parts. Because you end up I had that discussion again with that android in the police station. So
yeah,
he gets caught and built back. I didn't let him go, by the way. Sorry, just to round that point off. But this game for me, is it for you? That's the question you're probably watching this video for. If you're a fan of Quantic Dream and the games like Heavy Rain, Beyond, Two Souls, games like that, then you're going to like this one. I think it's that kind of game. If you enjoy that mechanic of quick time events and choices, then you'll like it. It's fantastic to look at. And the acting, the delivery isn't bad either. The writing might be bad, but the delivery isn't bad.
And sometimes, if they're a bit wooden, you just like there's a guy in a paint store, and he's like super robotic, but he's an android. So can you criticize it?
Yeah, the thing about like the skin thing on the hands, like you'll see it. It's not a spoiler, but they can remove the kind of flesh colouring on the skin and have like an android white hand, and they do that to like pay for stuff or access things or whatever. But it just feels a bit weird, and I don't really see how that would work in 18 years time.
Well, it's not just their hand; they can like do it for any part of their body they want to. But it's like,
but yeah, that's just a bit, and I'm like,
why would you have that functionality? Why wouldn't you just have like a sheath?
A sheath?
Yes.
For safe androids.
Safe androids, because apparently Android sex is better, as we're told. And I think I read the article why I recorded the footage. They'll be interested in that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. The first Android president and stuff. You see all these articles and bits you can pick up and read. That's kind of nice to have in the game.
Yeah, the trouble is, once you've read it, it doesn't go away. So if you're looking for clues around the place, the marker doesn't go. So I end up reading something like 4 times because I think there's something else over there.
Yeah, so inside the actual mechanics of the game, you can use this kind of special R2 view, which gives you like a black and white, pauses time and lets you see the options and the bits you can interact with.
Yeah, it's very much like Ari from Heavy Rain, where you put on the glasses and it was completely ridiculous. Or perhaps Batman's detective vision.
Yes, very much like that. So it's got the mechanics to let you play through the game easy. A friend of mine actually played it on not an easy level, and he died quite a lot with his characters. So I think it's just the amount of time you've got to react with the quick time events, really. It doesn't change anything else.
I mean, without significantly changing the story, that's the only way they would be able to make it more difficult.
Yeah, the interactions with the AI menu woman, I don't know if she actually had a name. Chloe, maybe, I think.
I think it might be Chloe,
yeah. But that was an incredible touch for me. The game itself, I really enjoyed the story. I know that there's a lot of tropes in there, and it's just taken from a lot of other influences very cleanly. Not transformed in many ways, but it's taken from those films. It feels very copied, but I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed going through the story.
A good example of that is you meet the founder of CyberLife, who are the company that make the androids. And I looked at Snare and went, if that was like a proper movie, that would be played by Jared Leto.
It was Jared Leto from Blade Runner 2049, without a question. He had the same mannerisms, he had the same kind of cadence of speech, I thought anyway.
Yeah, I would agree.
It was exactly the same, and it just felt lazy. Sorry, Quantic Dream, felt lazy. You're the only developer I actually say sorry to, you know that. Yeah, whenever I criticise this stuff.
Just yell at them.
I mean, you have produced a decent product and you have produced a decent experience, and I've really enjoyed it. But because the thing is, we were discussing this earlier, right? The fact is that we can't talk about this like a game because it's trying to do so much more, or doing it differently.
Differently, I think it'd be better, yeah.
So we can't talk about this about game mechanics. We're talking about it like a film, and you were actually making a point on what it was trying to do, the kind of context of the androids and the self-actualization, self-will or free will of the androids, and we wouldn't talk about that with any other game, apart from this one's trying to have that discussion and missing the mark.
Well, yeah, but I mean the fact that it's missing the mark is what's provoking that discussion.
Yeah, but we expect it from Quantic Dream to be having this level of depth.
Well, the trouble is they don't.
Yeah, but we expect them to have it.
But we don't, because they never have it.
But we want them to have it because they're doing these things about interesting concepts.
Because they like have this really interesting concept and they touch on all these points, and you're like, I want to know more about that. That's a really good and interesting thing. It's like, okay, so they break their programming to become sentient at that point? Or are they always sentient and can't do anything about it? Or how does it work? The androids are segregated in the buses. There's real clear sort of allegories between this and slavery.
It's taken us that long to get to, but yes.
Yeah. But the thing is, it asks all these difficult questions and then just picks the easiest answers or glosses over them entirely.
Yeah, and that's the point. I just want to make the point here that because they're trying to discuss those kind of things, they have almost an obligation to do a good job, and they do a good job. They just don't do an excellent job, and that's what I wanted from Quantic Dream. That's my point.
Yeah, I mean, the answers they come up with are sort of pub-level discussion, whereas what we're looking for is like
University
something,
academica.
Something a lot more cerebral and more sort of into what makes a person, rather than, oh no, he's just alive now because he smashed a fake wall in his head.
To be fair, this review is making us using big words, so this is unacceptable. Boobs.
Boobs.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. There were no boobs, actually.
Yeah, there were no boobs.
There was no boob. I was very hoping
there was android boob, but not real boob.
I didn't even see android boob in my playthrough.
Oh, I did.
I mean, even when you go to an android brothel, they're wearing like halter tops. I'm like, where's my boobs?
I got shouted at by Clancy Brown for looking at the androids.
I just made him use his credit card a lot.
I did too. I made him buy men as well.
Yes. You see, you just imagine if he was married and his wife's like, what's this? Oh, I had to employ all these android prostitutes during the course of investigation.
Or he turns up home and there's like an ensemble of prostitute androids behind him, just waving at his wife. Hi!
It's upstairs, go on.
I got you, wife. Got you some sexy androids. Anyway, that's maybe Detroit 2. The prostitution. Beyond prostitution. There you go.
No, they have free will now. They turn you down. Well, they turn me down anyway.
It's a start. But before we go off and talk about sequels and prostitutes,
We know there won't be a sequel. Quantic never do a sequel.
No. I'll be interested in what they do next, though. From a Quantic Dream point of view, they've kind of, it feels like they've evolved their games with technology more and more. There's elements even, I forgot to mention, there is a point where they point back to Heavy Rain with a memed situation where you're running around screaming Jason, but this time you're screaming Alice.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get that. Yes.
No spoiler, but that happens.
I got her killed.
So it was just like, I can't believe you've done that. Like I don't think you would have given a nod to your previous game as an Easter egg like that.
I don't see how they couldn't have, because it was such a widespread meme that they've got to be aware of it.
So there's bits like that. I mean, it's just interesting to see, but I would love to see what they do next.
Well, I have to wait 4 years. But...
I mean, I have to. When did Heavy Rain come out? That must have been 2009.
I don't know. Well, we were waiting ages after the Mary Smith tech demo.
I think it was about 2010. 2009.
They were quicker this time. I don't think we waited as long from the Kara demo to...
No, that was 2016, I think,
yeah,
Kara demo.
So it was just a couple of years.
Because the Kara demo came out when PS4 came out, I think.
Yeah, it was around that time, so they were sort of showing off what they could do with the technology, wasn't it?
But who knows what they're going to do next. I'm excited to see what they do next. I'd like them to do something more with androids, to be honest, because I think they need to flesh this out, but I can't see how they can in the same universe, and therefore it'd be suicide to do another game.
I'm also looking forward to seeing what they do next, because they are getting better. I mean, the writing is improving. There's less moments where you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, what are you doing?
And we have to remember, although David Cage is the most notable person at Quantic Dream, he's not the only person working on this game. There'll be hundreds and hundreds of people.
No, but he's director, so he has final say, presumably.
Presumably, but all those people make an effort to that game, so I think for a change, I'm just going to say thank you to the developers for making this, because there must have been a shit ton of work, mate.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, interestingly enough, I feel like as graphically good as it is, the best parts are the eyes, which are the only parts of the human that they couldn't motion capture, so they've actually done those eyes themselves. So, round of applause for that, because I feel like... I'm not going to do that because it's going to fuck up the mic, but...
Hardly. No. That was quick. I'm impressed. On both counts. Hardly.
I'm not an impressive man, but I do respond to verbal command rather well.
How the fuck do we move on from this?
I don't know.
But yes, so this game, I think, marks out of 10. What do you give it?
I would give it a 7. I feel... if the writing were better, it would get an 8. It looks great. The only way it could get higher than an 8 is if it actually had, like...
boobs?
Boobs would help, but gameplay mechanics that were less passive.
So, manhandling jiggly boobs.
That would work for me.
Yeah. I'd give it an 8 because I have to be different to Lee. But no, my reasons for 8 is the game changed the way I wanted to play it. On an emotional level, I was affected by the game choices that I was actually making, and I enjoyed the story. It looks great. I feel like it's got so much polish compared to other titles out in recent months. It's a finished thing. We should be applauding the fact that they've shipped a finished game, despite that's what it should be at a basic level. And I'm always going to be a fan of Quantic Dream games, unless they do something really terrible. So I am slightly biased, but for that's why I think it got an extra point. So 8 out of 10 for me. Well done. Sort of A-. Congratulations.
Yeah, it drew something really weird out of me, because in real life I hate doing housework, but I rather enjoyed making Kara do housework. Is that
so
like
you enjoyed
sadistic?
making a woman do housework?
Yeah.
That's telling. So do I. Because my girlfriend doesn't watch these, so it's fun.
Neither does mine. And they both clean our houses.
If they watch this, though, we'll be cleaning more.
Fuck.
But yeah, it's late in the video, they won't get this far.
Yeah.
So guys, thanks for watching the video today. Please let us know down in the comments what you think of Quantic Dream's latest outing in Detroit Become Human.
And also, try and keep it spoiler free for the guys that haven't played it yet.
Yes, that's very important. Very important.
Because in this sort of game, that's kind of the point of it.
Yeah, so now you've said that, you know what's going to happen.
They're so going to spoil it, you bastards.
So we'll actually delete any spoiler comments on the video. But that's all we can do, really.
Yeah, so you 30 people that watch this,
tell your friends. But yes.
say something about Warframe, we'll get a couple hundred.
Yes. But thanks for watching the video today, guys. Thanks for getting this far. Please like the video and comment down below. Even just say hello. Just comment and say hello.
Hello.
What you think about our review today, and obviously the game itself.
Yes. And if you want to, you can subscribe down below. You can like and comment down there somewhere as well. Is it more this way?
Probably, yeah.
Probably. The screen sort of flips round, doesn't it? So.
But we have videos out every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, so check back then for some more awesome content.
And I take over the videos as well. So
you already will have.
I already will have by this point, yes.
We filmed this in advance. It's not a secret.
But yes, you will be bored to death by me for a couple of weeks.
That's good. Thanks for that, Lee.
So this will break up the tedium.
Yes, so that's all from us. I hope you've enjoyed that, and we'll see you again soon.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye.